So hello everybody, it's Wyvern here with another bit of Total War Warhammer Quick Magic gameplay. This time around we are playing as the Warriors of Chaos against the Vampire Counts, led by Ru I Boast Thee on the map Troll Country. And as you can see, we are running everyone's favorite Lord and Commander, Archaon the Neverchosen. In all fairness, he is a very unpopular lord, and I wanted to give him a shot. So why is Archaon not really often chosen? Well, there's quite a few reasons for that. His stats, he's a very good melee combatant. He's not bad in that at all. Has decent armor, decent weapon strength, very solid charge bonus, and some pretty cool abilities here. He does have Slayer of Kings, which is a huge boost to his damage output. He has he can bring the Crown of Domination, which gives them immunity to psychology to all nearby units, which is not bad, and some extra leadership. And of course, he does have Lore of Fire, which is not an amazing lore, but can get some boosts. So why is he unpopular? Well, it's because he's stupidly expensive, and Chaos has some much better picks. Sigval is much more survivable, and a lot cheaper. A normal lord can be put on a dragon and given a potion of toughness, and be more flexible that way. And of course Sarthoriel and Kolek, well, Kolek's an absolute beast in killing lords, and Sarthoriel is good against dwarves. He has his niche there, and now with the Lord of Metal getting buffed, he's a lot better. So Archaon has very little going for him, there's very little that he's uniquely good at, and at the same time he has one of the more lackluster lores and is just kind of meta lord in general. But I wanted to give it a shot, I wanted to try him out. So Crown of Domination against the faction, I figured he can do okay against Vampire Counts. So he's coming in, of course, with his bodyguard, the Swords of Chaos, our good old regiment of renowned Chaos Knights. These guys look absolutely awesome. They use the heads, I think, from the Forsaken, and they look absolutely monstrous. I absolutely love the look, and they're charging in here with their flaming swords, escorting good old Archaon into the fray. And then the rest of my army is based around cavalry. So we have a unit of vanilla Chaos Knights here, a little slightly ranked up, flanking 2 Exalted Heroes. Now, of course, Archaon is coming in with Kindle Flame, and that boosts damage from fire weapons. Both the Exalted Heroes have a unique weapon or item called the Hellfire Sword, and when they activate that, they get fire damage. So that'll be a further 12% boost to their damage on top of the stuff it already buffs. And plus, both of them have Frenzy, thanks to the Mark of Khorne, and Deadly Onslaught for that extra damage. So I did not invest in Foe Seeker form. Chaos Knights, of course, are very tanky, can hold their ground for a very long amount of time. And then finally, we do have a unit of Chaos Warhounds with Poison over here, to weaken enemies up, a unit of Chaos Knights with Lances, slightly veteraned up, and a unit of more Chaos Knights with Lances hidden in the trees here. And yeah, it's a very elite army, very small army. It's basically, I'm hoping to tie my opponents down on the Swords of Chaos, Archaon, the normal Chaos Knights, and Exalted Heroes, and then kind of cycle charge into them with the Chaos Knights with Lances, who have a monstrous charge bonus. Chaos Cavalry is a bit, I think, underrated sometimes. Because it's kind of overshadowed by some of the other fancier cavalries, but it's definitely not bad. My opponent's army is consisting of a horde of zombies and the Tithe here in the front line. A bit of an interesting pick, but these guys do cause fear, which a lot of Chaos units are susceptible to, and they can tie you down and waste your time, which is their main purpose. Chaos will take forever to chop through them. It'll make your units exhausted, and they'll be much worse when they're actually fighting the backline. My opponent did bring as his lord a simple Vampire Lord here, with Curse of Years, as far as I can tell. Is that Curse of Years or Wind of Death? It might be Wind of Death. It's a little hard to tell those two. It's Wind of Death. Raised Dead, of course, and Invocation of the Heck, as well as, of course, Undeath Resurgent, which is knock off Stand Your Ground, or Stand or Die. Claw of Nagash, which is absolutely brutal. It does, of course, slow all nearby units by 36% because of the chilling aura, and it does constant AoE damage, which is absolutely agonizing to deal with as Chaos. It's very hard to shut this unit down, because it can just outpace your units pretty often and pretty easily. Backline composed largely of Graveguard, Graveguard with great weapons and the Sternsman here in the center. A unit of Blood Knights to kind of counter any cavalry. So kind of a usual build. 2 units of Carnates, which is a little interesting. Chaos is a pretty magic heavy faction. These guys have armor piercing, which is really nice against Chaos, but the physical resistance might not help them against magic. We'll see how they do. And then this unit of Cryptars over here, these guys are pretty good. The armor piercing, they cause poison, which will be a huge debuff, and fairly tanky. They have regen. And then these, though against the fire, that might not be great. And then 2 units of Fellbats, and that's one other bit of questionable pick, I think. Chaos doesn't have much in the way of skirmishers, but they can be a nuisance, they can be an annoyance. And you can see I'm kind of searching for a weak spot in my opponent's line. I don't just want to plow in like in a brain-dead fashion, because if I do, I'll get caught up by the Claw of Nagash, my opponent will countercharge me, and I'll be in deep trouble. So what I'm trying to do here is I'm planning to cast the Flaming Sword of Ruin on the Chaos Knights with Lances and catch and slaughter these Carnates. And Flaming Sword of Ruin, alongside imbuing fire damage, also imbues magical damage. And so these Karen Wraiths are not going to be long for this world. They get crashed into by those knights with lances and absolutely massacred. They're completely disintegrating. And my opponent is going to lose this entire unit very, very quickly. The bats are trying to come back and save them, but it's not going to be enough. They disintegrate. And in the meantime, though, Archaon is being zoned away by these zombies, and that's definitely a good call for my opponent, stopping me there. Unfortunately, these knights with lances are not really able to disentangle themselves. They're getting harassed by bats now. The Chaos Warhounds did get clear. But I'm realizing I'm getting caught up over here, and I'm not really going to be able to escape. The Blood Knights are on top of me, and they will slaughter Chaos Knights with lances. So realizing things are going very poorly, I'm going to cycle around with Archaon and go to engage. My opponent, in the meantime, has been trying to zone away my cavalry force on the left flank here. So what I'm doing is I'm flexing over to get into this blob here and win that fight, and while these Chaos Knights and Exalted Heroes are posturing. In the meantime, this fight is going rather poorly for me. I did cast the Cascading Fire Cloak on these Chaos Knights with lances to improve their melee defense. That'll make them a little tanky against those Blood Knights who would otherwise massacre them pretty handily. The Chaos Warhounds with poison, of course, are poisoning practically everything here, which is good. Archaon does overcast something there, I'm not entirely sure what, and now charges straight into the fray, getting that rear charge into these guys, just trying to cause as much hurt as he can. Archaon is not a bad, he's actually a very, he's not bad, he's a very strong melee combatant. It's just that he doesn't have armor piercing and is very expensive. So he in this sort of fight, he will actually perform fairly well in this pell-mell. His stats, when voided up by all his abilities, are ridiculous, and he's dishing out a lot of hurt. I do plow in with the Swords of Chaos, who are now pincering my opponent's units, and just kind of whittling them down, along with the help of Flaming Sword of Ruin, which is boosting all my damage. Over here, the Chaos Knights with the lances just plow straight through the graveyard with great weapons, not heeding their losses, not heeding my opponent's strength, and just getting straight through. In the meantime, these Chaos Knights with lances have jumped the mortis, the Claw of Nagash, and are just trying to whittle it down and beat it down. It's causing this constant AoE damage to me. I really need to get it off the field as soon as I can. Second unit of Chaos Knights is getting a little caught up on this graveyard, but once again, I'm just trying to push them straight through, get into this melee here, and help save Archaon and help out as best I can. So these graveyard are definitely mucking me down. Fortunately, zombies will do practically nothing, and so I'm fairly safe there. Wind of Death does go down here. I think the Winds of Magic would be better saved on something else. Chaos Knights have very high model, or actually Cavalry in general has very high model HP. These guys will not really take too much damage, and these graveguards are getting massacred in turn. An Invocation of the Heck here for the graveyard would have been much more useful in my opinion. The Vampire Lord, I'm trying to focus him down, but it's really not happening, unfortunately. My units are kind of getting distracted or blocked up. I'm not entirely sure what this unit down here dying is. There's a unit in here that's like really low on HP, and I'm not entirely sure what that is. Yeah, it might be it's probably summoned zombies. And yeah, so you can see the Blood Knights are finally getting slaughtered. I'm kind of beating down the Lord here. Unfortunately, the Mortis Engine is still very much a lot around and kicking, and is slowly but surely just draining these troops down, and slowly but surely just killing them. I was very Archaon's magic is not reserves are not the greatest, so I did try to save him up for a Flaming Sword of Ruin here. Once I was fairly confident, I could get some damage in against the once I was fairly confident, or once I was more like if I guess desperate to finish some of these units off, like the Claw of Nagash and the Lord here, who are just I was trying to finish him off as quickly as I could. He does pop on Death Resurgent, but Archaon has some pretty high stats here. Archaon's HP is actually pretty high. He does have like over 4,000 HP, I do believe. And getting a little bit more damage in, and I'm just bashing this guy down. Chaos Knights with lances are getting slaughtered. You can see one lone knight riding away on 2 HP. Quite the champ there. But you can see he's already gained a Chevron. These guys came in with, I do believe, 1 Chevron, so not bad. The Mortis Engine does go down, and the Lord is not going to be long for this world. My Knights with lances are just trying to break clear and steer away from this fight. Sternsmen will not do particularly well against Chaos units because they have no armor piercing, so they won't do too well. This lone knight charging in gallantly and gets wrecked. I still now I'm being very conservative with my magic, even more so than before, because I do see these Karen Wraiths, and I have no magic damage of my own, besides Archaon. So that's a bit of a problem. Fortunately, though, my opponent's Lord is mucked down here in the brawl, and I'll be able to finish him off. And once he's gone, my hope is that I'll be able to crumble the rest of his army. He does summon a final unit of zombies before entering the afterlife, and you can see I'm actually able to cycle charge these Chaos Knights with lances somewhat effectively. And as you can see, their charge bonus is very, very high. They're able to work their way clear. Some of these knights are trying to fight their way clear. They're very badly mauled. And unfortunately, this Exalted Hero is not able to fight his way clear. He gets bogged down in the muck here, and he's going to be stuck fighting for his life, surrounded by undead horrors. But it's okay. He's a chaos champ. He's not going to go down without a fight. He's a true hero of chaos there, and so he's just fighting tooth and nail, tying these guys down. I'm trying to focus out the units that are actually a threat to me. So Karen Wraiths, Crypt Horrors, Graveguard with great weapons are the primary targets. Stern's Men being next, and then of course zombies being completely irrelevant. We try to charge into the Stern's Men here, just trying to overwhelm them. The fire damage will actually be a boost against them because they do, of course, have regen. I think fire against factions that can bring regen, of course, fire is very solid. These Cryptards are almost dead. Archaon's back in the fray, bashing away. I don't want to cast at this point I'm very low on Winds of Magic, and I do not want to cast anything that I don't have to, because I'm trying to save up for magic, for a Flaming Sword of Rune, so I can hit these Karen Wraiths and wipe them out, because they're the biggest threat to my army at this point. Them in the graveyard with Grave Weapons, I suppose. So I do push into the flank here, get a nice hefty rear charge with the Chaos Knights with the Lances, take a bunch of hurt, and now I'm going to try to cycle them out, I do believe, as quickly as I can. These guys do dish out a lot of hurt but on the charge, but after that, their melee defense is fairly low, and they can get melted down very quickly, especially when they're this low on HP to begin with. You can see the Karen Wraiths over here. The Karen Wraiths do very high damage. They have armor piercing, so they'll be just brutal. These Chaos Knights are getting messed up, but these guys have decent melee defense, so they're holding their own reasonably well. You can see those kill counts are kind of going through the roof already. These Swords of Chaos also doing huge amounts of work. Archaon here in the thick of it. He's not letting his lackeys do all the work for him, that's for sure, and he is slugging it out with the worst of the worst here. I do believe the Karen Wraiths are in here somewhere, and it's a little hard to tell. They're probably the biggest threat to my army. You can see that they're ostensibly here, but you can see their units all the way there. And the Karen Wraiths are definitely dishing out quite a bit of hurt, I think. At this point, their armor piercing is being a huge boon. My only real hope against them is, of course, Archaon with his magic damage. Everything else will do very little to him. Unfortunately, my Chaos Knights have broken. They've routed away. Their HP just couldn't. They couldn't hold it together anymore. This Chaos Knights with Lances do make another charge, but at this point, because they're so low on overall HP, they're bleeding models fairly often, basically on every charge. They lost another 2 models in that charge, I do believe, because they had 10, I think, when they made their way out. And over here, the Swords of Chaos make a cycle charge, but these guys are not really meant for cycle charging. Their charge bonus is good by normal standards, but by cavalry standards, it's not particularly amazing. I pop a Flaming Sword of Rune here, though, intending to kind of delete my opponent's infantry units, having finally saved up for it and feeling that I'm confident in my ability to hit the Karen Wraiths, and it just didn't work out. My opponent's army disintegrated. So definitely a Pyrrhic victory if there ever was one. My Chaos Knights took horrendous losses, especially that early charge. It was definitely a bit of a cheeky charge. I was hoping to get in, kill the Karen Wraiths, and get out as quickly as I could. The amount of veterancy gained was massive. The Chaos Warhounds with poison actually racked up a lot of kills, obviously most against zombies, but still very impressive. This is not, of course, a competitive build by any means. This was definitely a build for fun. You can see I lost almost my entire army. But yeah, Chaos Knights can be very strong. Don't underestimate them. As usual, I say that a lot in my videos. Don't underestimate this. Don't underestimate that. It's just a generally good rule, I guess. But Chaos Knights are very strong cavalry. They're overshadowed by things like Demigryphs and Blood Knights and Bretonnian Grail Guardians and Grail Knights and Pegasus Knights, that sort of stuff. Because all those are kind of flashier, and they have some unique trait that makes them like really good in certain situations. Chaos Knights are just a generally good unit. Chaos Knights with Lances are just generally a very strong shock cavalry. That can do well in practically any situation. Chaos Knights with swords, basically just a generally good melee cavalry. They will do well in every situation. They cause fear, they cause a lot of damage, they're very tanky, they're reasonably mobile given how heavily armored they are. So it's just a well-rounded unit, is what it comes down to. And with these cool new additions of Swords of Chaos, this is a lot of fun. Bringing Archaon to the field was, of course, great. Not competitive, but great. He has a lot of damage, and he has a lot of kind of cool abilities, I guess, but especially that killer, his unique sword ability that boosts his damage by so much. So a lot of fun. He has very good stats and just a good lord in general. So I do hope you guys are good lord quality-wise, not for the cost. Fun lord, I guess is what I call it. So I do hope you guys enjoyed this video. If you did, be sure to leave a like and subscribe down below. I do hope you found it entertaining. If you have any questions, comments, any requests you'd like to make for units or comps you'd like to see demonstrated, be sure to post those down in the comments, and I'll respond as soon as I can. As usual, guys, I do appreciate you all for watching, and I'll see you in the next one. Wyvern out.